everyone, and welcome to my 11th guitar story. Today we're going to be looking at my new Fender Original 60s Jazzmaster in three-tone sunburst. And it is a gorgeous guitar. It has all the specs of a Fender guitar, Fender Jazzmaster you would find, in 65, 66, somewhere in there. It has a bound rosewood fretboard, maple neck, again the tortoiseshell pickguard, and the beautiful sunburst finish. And this is a nitro finish on this. And look at the back of that thing, just beautiful. Gosh, it's gorgeous. It does have the kind of the gloss nitro on the back of the neck. That's a little different. My other Fenders have that really nice satin, almost an unfinished feel to them. But this definitely has finishing on it, but it's not too sticky or anything like that. But a little bit different, but just wonderfully comfortable in the neck. Let's talk about the features of this guitar. It does have the vintage style split head tuners, which I'm still getting used to string changes on those, but they're really nice. The way they do, the string fits inside and then you wind it up. So you have to cut it kind of correctly at the first, but then you're good to go. But there's no sharp edges here. There's nothing sharp anywhere on it. And a lot of people prefer that. And I think it's going to be really nice, but they're really nice tuners. Bone nut. These are vintage tall frets. I was a little hesitant at first about the frets, but I said, well, I'll give it a chance. We'll see. And I love them. I really do. It feels so good to play. This guitar just, it's amazing. I absolutely love it. Let's get into the pickups. The pickups are pure 65 vintage Jazzmaster pickups. They're very vintage. They're fairly low output, as you could hear. I'm going into my Fender Deluxe Reverb here, and I've got it attenuated down using my 2 Notes Capture X. Now what's interesting is you have 2 different sets of controls. With this button down, it's in what we call the lead. So all these controls work. You've got a 3-position switch. I was in the middle on that. And you have a volume and a tone. Both the volume and tone pots on most Fender single coils who have 250K pots. On like a Les Paul with humbuckers, you would have a 500K pot. Well, on these you have 1,000K pots or 1 meg pots. And Leo did this to give the jazz guitarist he envisioned playing this a lot more tone, a huge range in tone. Now the jazz guitarist never did take to it. Instead, the surf crowd took to it for a while. They discontinued them. And then some young folks in the late 80s, early 90s found them pretty cheap in pawn shops and stuff, especially in the Pacific Northwest. And then you have people like Kurt Cobain and some others really using Jazzmasters and Jaguars. He had a Jaguar, I think, that he kind of converted. But they started using these in kind of that grunge movement. And you see a lot of it there, and in alternative music, you still see a lot. With that, if I flip this up, it's a very warm sound. And that is a rhythm circuit, and I have a volume and a tone wheel here. Yeah, I'm not even at full volume there. Have it backed off just a little bit, but it's just got a really nice sound, Again, these are Jazzmaster pickups. They're not P90s, even though they kind of look like the soap bar P90s you'll see on my Les Paul Jr. They're not nearly as hot. Again, they're pretty low output, vintagey pickup, whereas P90s are high output and really growl, and it's hard to almost control them at times. These are very subtle, a very kind of warm pickup. Very nice pickups, but a very different sound. And the pots up here, I think are 250 pots. They're not the 1 meg pots. I think what those are. As far as the bridge and trim unit here, this particular tremolo unit has kind of a locking button. This button, when it's back, you can do the tremolo down. Oh, I gotta kick up. But you can't go up. But if I push it up, I can go up and down. It's true floating now. So you'll see that kind of, you hear that surf, those surf tones. A lot of those surf bands really like Jazzmasters. It's a very smooth tremolo. It's not as touchy as the one on my Strat. The one on my Strat, I mean, the pitch, both down and up, is really pronounced, where this is much more subtle. And when you do the bar, it's hard to see from there, but when I push the bar down, the whole bridge rotates slightly with it. And when I pull it up, it'll rotate back a little bit. It's made that way. So it's a really kind of a cool, different type of tremolo unit. And the saddles, if you strum too hard, these saddles are just, there's not like big notches here. So they'll pop out on you if you're not careful. Now, the way to get around that is to use heavier gauge strings. So this is the only guitar I have that has 11s on it. Everything else has 10s, and in my Strat I have 9s. But the tremolo unit on the Strat, they're never gonna pop out. They can't physically do it. So you can use really light gauge strings on the Strat. Whereas this, I like these heavier gauge strings, but it kind of fits the whole profile of the guitar, being a much warmer sounding instrument. So it's this kind of just really wonderful guitar. It's probably my lightest guitar. I haven't weighed it, but it's got to be just barely over 7 pounds if it is. And just a magnificent, wonderful guitar. I'm really enjoying it. And it does have a pop-in bar. It's not the screw-in bar. So it stays there, stays exactly where you want it. You can swing it around here and then pop it back. One knock on these guitars, they do have the straight-in jack from it. It's not like the Strat that slides in at an angle, or my Telly, which goes in at the bottom. It's right on the front. But look, if it bugs you, use a right angle attachment on your guitar cable. I don't care. Doesn't bother me a bit. It's not my way. I'll swing the arm around this way because it does get in the way of that, but like I said, that's just not a big deal for me. Anyway, this is a Fender original 60s Jazzmaster.